All right, well, here's the cross-eyed freak.
What's up? How are you guys this Sunday? Frankie Eyeballs is back with our local CIA agent, Sam Sulek. I think this guy had less than 1 million subscribers 1 or 2 months ago, and now he's at almost 3 million. I don't know. One of you guys might be
So now he thinks Sam Sulek is part of the Illuminati because he gets more views than Frank.
paying more attention than me on that. Renowned around the world for his Krispy Kreme and Five Guys diet. It's pretty horrible, and he uses performance-enhancing drugs. He's taking Accutane, so I'm surprised he's still alive. But we can see what he's doing. I mean, this got 600,000 views 3 days ago. I mean, he's been getting crazy views. So the algorithm's definitely pushing him, and the way a lot of these super popular influencers work is it's not like a direct sponsorship or endorsement, but when you get someone really popular that has a large platform to do things, it increases the sales. That's just how it is. So that's definitely something to consider here whenever he's doing something. Yo, did he change the music? I'm pretty sure he changed the music.
Can you believe it? Finally back. Well, finally back to look at the food intake. So I've already got 3.
One thing I will say, this complete tool bag that owns Hostile copyrighted the video that I did of them last time, got me a copyright strike. I emailed him, I was like, hey, look, I'll take the video down, just withdraw the strike, I'll delete the video. He didn't do it. And YouTube, for some reason, sided with him, but it doesn't make sense because when you post a video on YouTube, it's in the public domain. It's technically fair use, but they just...
It's not public domain just because you post a video. That's not true. Frank doesn't understand copyright.
Don't like me, so they just did that to me. That's the only positive thing I have to say about his company, and I won't be further derogatory. I will keep this 100% factual. I think that's a pretty tacky colored shirt, though, lack of style. I bet they charge $70 for it. And that thing he has on his head, it's a Rode microphone. It's Wi-Fi. I mean, most people don't care or know about Wi-Fi. I mean,
Here we go. Yeah, Wi-Fi is gonna damage your brain and kill you.
You can't see. He's got the phone. I'm blocking the phone. That's right there on the table. He's got the mic. Probably 20 to 30% of your overall health is radiation reduction. I'm always...
No, it is not.
Wearing the clothing we have on WiFiShielding.com. I try to shield my head as much as possible. This whole room you guys can't see because there's a green screen, but it's shielded in metal. Like, very important factor that none of these people consider.
Servings of Chex. I was actually kind of disappointed. I was scanning around the kitchen. I was looking for a box of Golden Grams that used to be floating around in here. Somebody must have finished them off. But, whatever. Simple carb. I know some dudes would pretty much hype up the Chex over any other kind of cereal just because it's rice-based rather than grain or wheat or whatever. But to me, I'm looking at 120 grams of carbs. There's like 3 grams of fat. Basically, I mean...
I haven't really paid attention. Did he say anything? This poor kid's face is so inflamed. His face looks so red.
That's actually not true. I was about to say negligible. No, do not even think about skipping. I just looked up the nutrition label, right? Per serving 1 gram of fat in, this little dry Chex. Don't just skip over that. That's the absolute worst mistake you could do. In a bulking context, it's not bad, right? Because, of course, you'd be eating more food than you're really tracking. But if you're trying to diet down, you've got to be OCD Mr. Monk level. Like any amount of ketchup you get, that's 3 grams of carbs. Any amount of extra oil you put in the pan when you make some eggs, that's 5 grams of fat. When it comes to my dieting, not style, but maybe theory, if you could call
Detonation bin.
it that, calories is the #1 factor, right? Because you got to remember, I could eat as perfect food.
So this IIFYM, if it fits your macros, like macronutrient, fat, carb, protein, warrior nonsense is really, really ingrained in the dietary culture. It's what the mainstream is pushing as the end-all be-all factor in health, because they don't want you to know the truth that they're poisoning you with all.
Nobody considers macros to be the end-all be-all of health. The reason why macros have kind of been in the, I don't know, fitness zeitgeist is just because they're relevant for performance and body composition. So you need a certain amount of carbs to have enough energy. You need a certain amount of protein to be able to build muscle. You need a certain amount of fat for, like, you know, just general health, like to be able to absorb fat soluble vitamins for hormones. Like, that's why people care about macros. It's not because they think it's the end all be all to health. Feces, fingers.
All this crap they put in the food, how polluted everything is, the agrochemicals. They don't want you to know that you need to go organic and eat high quality foods. And if you do that, you can eat whatever amount of those high quality homemade foods you want, and you will be healthy and have a good body composition.
No, Frank doesn't seem to understand caloric balance. He literally thinks that the whole calories in, calories out thing isn't true. And he thinks as long as you're eating something healthy, you can eat as much as you want and you won't gain weight. He's an idiot. I
literally eat a loaf of bread every single day, and I can't really go above 12% body fat because it's homemade and
yeah, that's because you're burning enough calories. Stupid.
Quality.
Train as hard as I want for years on end, but if I don't eat enough calories to be in a calorie surplus and actually deposit, well, mass, but primarily muscle, onto my frame, I'm not going to get anywhere. I mean, I'll look like a freak, but I'll still be like two.
Go back to Frank.
Don't worry, we're watching Frank. Thanks for the donation, Sam.
20. You know, the only way to actually gain weight is to eat calories in excess.
Is to use copious amounts of performance-enhancing drugs.
And vice versa is apparently a hard truth. And from some like TikTok freakout videos I see, apparently it's a argued truth. But the only way to lose body fat, again, same thing but in reverse.
I'm honestly legitimately surprised that no one has sued these people in court yet. Like, because I think it's a pretty cut and dry lawsuit. Like, hey, you're using performance enhancing drugs. You're not putting a disclaimer at the beginning of your videos, and you're
what? Yeah, you can use drugs, Frank. I don't know how you'd sue someone for taking steroids.
People advice on diet and nutrition and stuff that is completely like it just doesn't make any sense. You can disregard everything this guy says based on the fact that he's using like unnatural steroids to get to where his body is.
Less calories than your body burns.
That made no sense.
What's the word the kids are using now? Stop yapping.
I'm really trying to get in
yapping.
Tons of carbs. You know, my 250 grams of protein.
Grade A yapper.
I kind of stay around a gram per pound.
How many grams of test?
Right now I'm at 250.
How many grams of tren?
250 grams. If you're $1.60,
how many grams of rat poison?
Go for $1.60. If you do 200 at that weight, or if you did 100 at that weight, I don't think it's going to change anything too much.
Oh, what's that?
But good
what's that drug called? DNP. They use it, like, it's called DNP or something. Literal rat poison. They used to cut weight.
I'd say gram per pound is where you're at. In terms of fats, it kind of fluctuates. Maybe a fourth of that.
Yo, I bring this up every time steroids are brought up. I can always forget what it's called. It's like DHEA or dihydrotestosterone. It used to be for sale in powder on Amazon. Like it's now it's illegal and you can't sell it anywhere. But it was crazy. You used to be able to buy it.
So usually my fats are
It's not illegal. I think Amazon just delisted any DHEA products.
Well, the bulking gets a little funky. Whatever. I don't really have a specific fat goal I'm aiming for. Bulking days, I'll get up in the 150s. But carbs, I did a whole rant in the drive back from the gym last night about how carbs are totally going to change the way my workouts and pumps feel. So that's what I'm really trying to push. So today, by the end of it, I should be about at 800-ish grams of carbs. So good start with 120.
800 grams of carbs? Holy crap.
Of course, anytime you're eating anything, at least as often as you can, food scale is going to come in crazy fucking handy. But
we made a video a few months ago, and we speak a lot about the importance of vitamin B1 in carbohydrate metabolism. So I'm sure a lot of these people, and most people in America in general, could really benefit from a super high dose B1 supplement, because
nobody needs a B1 supplement if they're eating. Like, it's practically impossible to be vitamin B1 deficient.
that's the primary vitamin used to process carbohydrates.
pour on, I don't know, 3 cups of milk or so. That'd be 720 grams.
You have these big commodity companies producing this milk, super low quality, super cheap, super bad for you. When, if you go to, we have all the raw milk and dairy products on Frankie's Free Range Meat, but you might be spending more money relatively to the amount of product you're buying, but you're going to drink a lot less and need a lot less of it because it's such high quality.
Perfect. So 3 servings. So that puts me about 170 grams of carbs, 25 grams of protein, and about 25 grams of fat for this whole bowl. So that's however many calories. I'll do the math in the end. I'll add like a counter.
Super
It
important,
was kind of confusing a little bit last time. So each meal, I'll just write out the macros, and then at the end of the day, I'll write out the total. So
How many grams of sauna sweat
I don't know, 5 minutes.
do we need to drink?
However long
Do you
it
have to
takes me to
lick?
get this down, and then go do cardio. So this is the pre-cardio meal. Fasted, it's not going to make a fucking difference. And if you're bulking,
Are you
I
gonna
think a big-
are you gonna replenish your sodium macronutrient by licking the sweat as you work out?
breakfast,
your
or at least a
arms?
moderately sized breakfast, is going to make it a bit easier. Because you got to remember, if you do no breakfast, and like let's say you're going to school. So
When do you think Sam Sulek will
Guy's the number one
die?
yapper.
then that means you've only got
Probably
5
not going to
hours
live long.
until whenever you go to sleep. That's your window to eat. Whereas the dude who had a big ass breakfast, his window is going to be the complete day. So let's just jump to whatever I eat next, the post cardio meal. All right. So apart from any, maybe tweets. Apart from any treats or anything that I might have before I go train, this will pretty much be the pre-workout meal. This is what I've kind of been loving. So obviously, I actually go out of my way, cook steak. Usually I'm kind of lazy. I like getting a lot of pre-made food, like a Costco.
Yeah, he really eats like shit. So some nice cancer-causing red meat, and I don't know what that is. That looks like it might be mashed potatoes.
Huge 15-pound turkey breast, and just cut chunks off. But the steaks I've been loving. So about a pound of steak, 100 grams of protein. I'd usually just do one of these, like 8 ounces. But since breakfast was kind of lower on protein, I'll just double up.
Yeah, bro. Only three cups of milk, low on protein. This looks actually reasonable. I'm surprised people can even do the prepped food stuff, because when you cook something fresh, like, it's so much tastier. Like, I can't even really eat like leftovers. I just don't like, unless I was like really hungry and starving. And even then, if I had a plate of leftovers, I'd only eat like half of it because it just doesn't taste good.
And then a pre-made kind of I forget the brand, but
Nation Grey Night.
it's like a 5-serving thing of mashed potatoes. So all this adds up. I already tracked it on my phone. I'm going to have to pull it back up. But 100 grams of protein, 20-ish grams of fat, maybe a little more with all the avocado oil I cooked it in. And then this is going to be about 90 grams of carbs, maybe 14 grams of fat, if I remember right.
I mean, avocado oil, it's always questionable quality. It's not reliable, and it's not a saturated fat. It's not the healthiest oil to cook with.
Yeah, Frank thinks saturated fat is good for you for some reason, even though literally every single randomized trial in existence has shown replacing saturated fat with poly or monounsaturated fats Reduces risk of heart disease and all-cause mortality. So, yeah, don't do what Frank recommends. You should be cooking with oils like avocado oil rather than like butter or tallow or lard or coconut oil.
At least he's got some beef in there. Buying like pre-made mashed potatoes, who knows what's in there? I highly doubt they only use potatoes and butter. If they do, it's actually not bad, but it's also possible
No, mashed potatoes with butter is bad for you.
they put like vegetable seed oils and chemical flavorings and preservatives in it. So why don't you just make it yourself and eat? I mean, this is way above and beyond anything this guy would ever do. Is what type of water were the potatoes cooked in? I mean, I don't think anyone else on YouTube has cooked potatoes in bottled mineral water like I have.
But, that's about right. So I've never really been a huge proponent of really hitting meals per se. That's one factor which I kind of differentiate in terms of my, let's just call it rich piana similarities. Because calories are calories, dude. You can't eat something and have it not count. That's one thing that I think people really kind of have to understand. Like, if you're dieting and you're like, okay, I'm going to have this as a treat. Or even worse, let's say you're not really doing a strict diet. You're just kind of a layman kind of character. And, you get what I'm saying. You're not crazy invested. And you're like, yeah, I'll have a salad for lunch. Yeah, I'll just have a couple eggs for breakfast. Right? In your mind, you're like, I did good today. And then it's 8 o'clock, you eat a bunch of pizza that was in the fridge left over, a couple scoops of ice cream. That just 1 hour of snacking before you go to bed will completely offset all the quote unquote good that you did that day. So that's kind of why I sort of took a bit of an anal kind of stance about tracking every kind of calorie. So in a way, this is almost, if you wanted to call it that, you could say meal 3. But after cardio, I stopped in the vending machine at the...
Oh my God, I can't. My brain is too fried today to deal with this, guys. If you're like binging and eating crap food at night, it's because you're not getting what you need in your diet. If you can stick to, higher quality foods and eat what you should be for 2 or 3 weeks and get the right vitamin and mineral supplements, you're not going to have those cravings. I thought
That you're not going to have cravings if you're getting proper nutrition, that's just nonsense. There's a variety of reasons for why you'll have food cravings, and lack of vitamins and minerals in your diet doesn't seem to really cause food cravings. Monkey.
I thought he was going to explain something that I actually agree with, which is 6 to 9 meals a day that some crazy bodybuilders do. They used to do that because they were so hungry and they were cutting and restricting their calories. So for them, it was better to break up, the beef and rice into 2 or 3 meals instead of one large meal. Because
if you have more frequent, smaller meals throughout the day, that tends to increase your appetite. The whole idea behind eating more frequently is to get in more food. And there's an idea that if you just eat constantly, you're going to be in a more anabolic state. It's not something that'll help you diet.
They're digesting and metabolizing so fast, they'd rather be hungry for shorter periods of time on smaller meals than hungry for a longer period of time on a larger meal. That's more relevant to restricting calories, because when you're trying to gain weight and you're eating a lot of food, you can't really even eat 6, 7, 8 meals if you're eating as much as possible at any of those meals.
The gym. 2 things of juice, 60 grams of carbs total, followed by 2 big ass crunch bars, 400 calories total. So that puts me
I can't.
whatever I'm at now. But I'm sure once I finish this, plus a bunch of water with electrolytes and a couple of amino acids, I'm going to want to take a pretty...
Dude, Sam eats like a fucking 12-year-old wishes he could eat.
Substantial nap. But afterwards, right, once that nap is taken, and most of the carbs from this...
I say the meal is reasonable, and he's having like orange juice and crunch bars, dude. I mean, juice in general, even if you have high quality organic juice, it's pretty hard on the gut candida. It can cause dysbiosis really easily because it's a lot of sugar
Eating sugary foods does not cause candida. Candida is usually caused by compromised immune system. It's not just from eating sugary foods.
And it has a lot of surface area in the stomach. It's just digested and absorbed too fast. I mean, Crunch bars and candy bars. You'd be surprised in some context, like the ingredients in the candy bar. At least they don't use a crazy amount of vegetable seed oil sometimes, but there can be a lot of crap in them depending on which one it is.
Mashed potatoes are flowing around my system. Plus, I'm fully hydrated from finishing off this tub of water. Then I'm going to feel super fucking energized for legs. The last thing I'd want to do, and this is why I don't train early in the morning, why I like cardio in the morning, lift later at night, it's just because right in the morning, give me one moment. Right in the morning, that's when you're in your, well, you're literally in a fasted state.
I mean, don't they inject insulin after every meal? You know, isn't that something important that you can include in the lawsuit when you sue him for getting fat and having a heart attack on his diet? That he forgot to mention you need to take insulin every meal when you're eating this?
State from going the whole night without eating. So if that's when you have to train, I guess you just have to deal with it. But I'm going to feel much better, stronger, more endurance, just going to have a better pump and a better workout. If I wait for the whole day of, a substantial amount of calories and meals and carbs and
Does
water,
Hostile sell performance enhancing? What do they sell? Is it just supplements?
electrolytes, because right in the morning, I'm not very hydrated. If anything, I'm dehydrated. You lose a couple of pounds every night. I guess it depends on how big you are, but just by breathing, you're breathing out water. You're going to wake up literally more dehydrated than you were at night. So for me, it just makes sense. Tons of food during the day, fuel up, super hydrated, and then when I actually get into my lift, that's when I'm like, okay, gas tank's at F, gas tank's at full. I'm ready to try to empty that thing as hard as I can, aka, push every set as hard as I can. So that's kind of the plan for tonight. So if this is the last actual meal, then we'll get straight to the car talk. But
Yeah, that's a little subjective, but it depends on your overall lifestyle. Like if you work a manual labor job, if you go to the gym at night after doing manual labor all day, like your workout's going to suck. That's just how it is. Or if someone like sleeps really well compared to someone who doesn't sleep really well, regardless, that person with overall better lifestyle factors is going to be stronger at any point in the day.
Going to be pretty sick.
Or even
I'm going to a gym that has a really nice...
someone who injects testosterone. It doesn't matter.
It's like cable loaded, but we'll just talk about that when we're there. If I talked about the workout every meal, this would be like a 2-hour video. But this will just fucking disappear in the next 20-ish minutes. I'm sure I'll probably take a nap right here and just sit down on my phone. And when I wake up, I'll be ready to take the pre and get out of here. Now that...
Imagine being so like insulin damaged that you fall asleep with a Rode microphone frying your brain. So now I think like the next like 45 minutes of this is workout. So we're going to skip all of this workout stuff.
So I forgot to add intra-workout was 100 grams of carbs in the Hostile bottle. Yeah, I forgot about that. I was doing the blue Gatorade. If you're curious why the cluster dextrin shake isn't...
Doesn't this guy look a little like Jacob Elordi? And forgive me for being mean, but like the ladies are obsessing over him. Maybe there's a little too much estrogen in the water when they see tall dudes, but like I could have the most botched eye surgery ever, and I would still look better than that guy. Anyway,
back yet the post-workout instant.
Oh my god!
100 grams of carbs plus 20-ish grams of protein. I'm kind of saving it for later. That's I don't want to call it like a last resort, but
I think he said he had a dextrose shake. And I will mention we have Flextrose on OregonSupplements.com. High quality organic dextrose, only natural one on the market. Usually.
I don't know what the fuck organic dextrose. It's literally just starch. So what does it matter if it's fucking organic?
It's made with like low quality, chemically infused corn, agrochemical, herbicide and pesticide and fungicide infused corn.
Way it kind of is. I mean, it's a super easy, like pretty much 500 calories, just like that. So I might save that for later. Like once 5,000 or so calories gets a little bit more difficult, or let's say not difficult, but it becomes my new baseline, then adding that big shake post-workout, that'll definitely put me over the edge.
Did he say what he's eating?
Maintaining growth. So I kind of jumped the gun a little bit while the water was boiling for the ramen. I was already picking at the flank steak that my dad made earlier. So
yeah, so more red meat and ramen noodles are obviously terrible for you, just super high in sodium.
Basic premise, 12 ounces of flank steak, 2 packs of chicken ramen, so 100-ish grams of carbs right here, 14 of fat, 75 grams of protein, and about, I think I said 10. I might actually go back and change it. It's probably more like at least 17 grams of fat.
Hey, at least he's eating a lot more beef. Did he get a check from the Cattlemen's Association? Put steak in every meal. Maybe maybe next video he'll be chopping steak up into pieces and pouring milk over it and having that for breakfast instead of the Chex Mix. It's kind of like so close yet so far, right? Because I have beef with udon noodles every night, but the difference between like the super high quality organic udon noodles I have versus this chicken ramen catastrophe is a lot. You have low quality wheat. You have
this is kind of boring me. Whatever.
That is by.
Well, Frank is stupid, but we already knew that.